really, I think that for a lot of women, that's their biggest struggle is they've never had to think about that before because so many times they have been doing everything for everyone else.
I'll have what she's having.
Welcome to another edition of
She Talks Confidence podcast.
Welcome back. It's the She Talks Confidence podcast. It's Tony, your host, as usual. And again, another powerful, amazing woman. She is my guest. It is Simone Knego. Simone, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thanks for, and she's a fellow podcast host too. So we got a lot to work on and talk about. So I want to read this quick intro for Simone. And even though she said, yeah, it's too long, it's not. It's just a couple things, and I'll throw it out there. So she's an international speaker and award-winning author of the best-selling book, The Extraordinary Unordinary You, which we're going to talk about today. Again, another thing to talk about. She's a two-time TEDx speaker, and her work has been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, as well as Entrepreneur Magazine and Yahoo News. Her literary contributions have been honored by the National Indie Excellence Award and the New York City Big Book Award. Yikes. That's a lot. So congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So we got connected because we obviously talk about the same thing. Your podcast is called Her Unshakable Confidence, which is perfect. We're right in the same genre. She does it with her daughter. The reason I do this is because of my daughter. And first and foremost, we both talk about confidence. What are some of the things that you are seeing now that are impacting women and women's confidence?
I think there's so much going on in our world, in our country, that definitely is taking a toll on women's confidence. I record with my 22-year-old daughter, and so every conversation we have is about something that she's struggling with, something I'm struggling with. She's a law student and she's mom. It's still not where it needs to be, right? We're still at a place where there's not, we talk about equity, we talk about equality, and women are still struggling. And I think the more we're taking things away from women, the worse we're making it for the world. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. And it's affecting the self-esteem and confidence of women everywhere.
100% agree. And the thing is that with her being a law student right now, is she seeing a direct impact in terms of policy shifts that are going on, especially in this country, in regards to a DEI and why they make it such a terrible thing is just a typical demonization of something that is unusual or something that goes against the flow. But it does directly impact that. And I'm not sure because my daughter now is 33 and she's out of college and she's done her time. Are she seeing some direct impacts of that in college in her studies right now?
So she hasn't talked about directly what you can and can't talk about. You think about, and I'm just going that direction for a second, but
Mhm.
when you get a list of things that can't be said anymore, women's empowerment, really, like those are things that can't be in official documents anymore. So, yes, do I think that it's going to impact a lot of the work that she does? But she sent me a message 2 days ago that she said, never in our history have I been more proud to have decided on following a path in law because this is the time more than ever. We've had lots of times in our history, but this is the time more than ever that I feel like I can truly make a difference by helping other women.
That is the other side of the coin, isn't it? And I've dealt with a number of my clients are feeling the same way too. They're becoming empowered because they're enraged. They're
Mm.
enraged at the fact that we're stepping back and that seems to be. And the thing is, it's not a mandate. It wasn't a mandate. It was a 32% in terms of the vote. And the thing that, and I was debating whether to go there or not, but I'm going to anyway. The thing that gets me the most are women that know better, that are voting and that are supporting against their own interest. It's mind-boggling to me how that happens and how that works. Any insight to that at all?
Yeah, I would love to see the science behind it because it is fascinating because there's not one woman out there that I know that says, "Oh yes, I want to be repressed. I don't want my voice to matter." No woman says that. But
Mhm.
then they cheer on the streets for things that I'm like, how does that correlate? I just don't get it. So there's got to be something scientific that says, okay, they're doing this because, or they're doing it because their husband says this is what you do. Hate this
Yeah,
out loud, but
there's a cognitive dissonance, and it always comes down to what you prioritize, right? And a lot of it has to do with just your learned behavior. Again, it's the system. And the system that they had grown up in was perhaps a system where they were subjugated, or there was some level of sort of giving into and over compromising your own ideals for the good of the family. And a lot of this stuff has, and again, I try not to get super religious, but I can't take it anymore. And a lot of it has to do with this religious bubble of your particular family position, which is absolute utter nonsense. Because again, that's the thing that has subjugated women the most. It's almost like a self subjugating in regards to you in a family system, to where you're like, I get my needs are secondary to the man's needs, or the man and the kids' needs, or everybody else's needs except for mine. And that's the thing that messes up women the most, because they get into these systems and they put themselves fourth or fifth or sixth or last. And then they end up 20 or 30 years from then and waking up going, I don't even know who I am. Of course you don't know who you are, because you haven't put yourself first in any particular position, especially in regards to that. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. And the kicker is that when I get somebody in as a client and they've dealt with this stuff and they're coming out of it, there's such incredible levels of denial, because it's that whole thing about a confirmation bias, to where they've believed something for so long that they can't come around to accepting the fact and admitting the fact that system is completely jacked. And that's the reason why they're having problems in the first place.
It's really interesting that you bring that whole self prioritization up, because that's actually what my latest keynote is about. It's about the pressure that we put on ourselves, and that the way that we need to think about things differently in terms of respecting ourselves and in terms of building confidence is by prioritizing ourselves. And it's not saying go out and quit your job, or it's not saying, oh, you're going to pay less attention to your family. No, we've just been conditioned to live in such a way that we never put ourselves first.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
what I've realized over time is that putting yourself first, prioritizing yourself, is not something selfish. It actually helps the people around you. And especially when you have daughters, to help them understand that, hey, they deserve whatever they want. They just have to work to get there.
And with daughters, it's all modeling too. They're looking at
Mm.
you. Right? You are the model of them in terms of behavior, in terms of life, in terms of making choices. It's such a huge thing in terms of attachment theory, that they're going to attach and they're going to model after your particular behavior on that. It's just, it's incredible. And the thing is that I don't believe that a lot of women understand it's not a binary choice. Because you prioritize yourself doesn't mean you deprioritize everything
Yeah.
else. It just means that you're not putting yourself, back. You're not Cinderellaing yourself, where you're doing everything and then because it's for the best of the family. And the worst part about all of this is the fact that this policy stuff, we're reverting back to this. And the reason why we're reverting back to this, my opinion, is because the empowerment had gotten to the point where they're like, oh, that this is compromising our system that we've had in place for however many generations. And it's about levels of fear that women are finally saying, no, we're not going to put up with this crap anymore.
Yeah, I see that thoroughly. I think that I look at my mom as an example. So my mom went to college in 1957. She grew up, her mom had a 6th grade education, her dad worked in the coal mines. She had 2 older siblings. She was the first one to go to college. She ended up going right after college to medical school. She was one of 5 women out of 120 people in her medical school class. And when she entered the workforce, she was told that she was working in a man's world. Her voice didn't matter. She got paid less than her male counterparts until the 1990s. They had to literally
Hmm.
fight for equal pay to get equal pay. And she was always working harder because she always felt like she had to prove herself. And we were talking yesterday about confidence, and she said, it's really hard when you've been told something for so long that you're not good enough or that you don't matter. It's very hard to overcome that. So, like, I'm trying to give her tips and tricks and frameworks, and she's okay. I'm going to try. I'm going to try, because she's so hard on herself still at 85 years old.
It's because it's been ingrained. It's the only reality she knows. And a lot of times, the fact that's the reality, then the life that they have been living in for so long. And even women that are in 30s and 40s and 50s right now, that's the reality that they've had and they've been living in, that's been really shaped around them from their exterior influences. The thing is, that's if that's the only identity they know, getting rid of all that means they get rid of everything. It's almost like a free fall. It's an existential crisis
Mm.
because they don't either believe that they deserve another reality because they've been taught that this is where they fit, or when you take the rug out from under somebody and completely demolish their reality, then sends them into an anxiety crisis because they have nothing to hold on to. Now there's no identity at all because their identity has been fixed in that very small bubble. So, in you talking about confidence and having your confidence podcast, the mood of your guests, is it more of a tips and tricks thing that you have your guests on and you guys talk about? Or is it more of a, this is what's happening and bringing things to the surface to be able to talk them out?
We talk a lot about life experiences and what the struggles they've gone through and the things that they've done to help themselves. And yeah, we do tips and tricks because I always have tips and tricks, but it really is about showing other women that they're not alone in their struggles and here's
Mhm.
how someone else moved forward. Doesn't have to be the same struggle. We talk about, oh, when you if you could walk in my shoes, you can never walk in someone else's shoes. You're never going to be in the same moment, the same struggle. But when we show what we're going through, I definitely think it helps other women say, oh, wait, I don't have to stay. And that was me. I was someone that struggled for a really long time. And I really had a moment where I was like, okay, why am I letting myself be beaten down by all these things? Why don't I talk about what I'm struggling with? Because I truly believe when we let things out, we realize that we are not alone.
What got you to the place that you're at now? What got you to speak about confidence? What got you to talk about your book and do your keynotes?
I was someone that really struggled with self-doubt, and that started because I had an abusive boyfriend in high school. Something that I really shoved down for years because my parents were of the generation of what will other people think? And trust me, they were great parents, but it wasn't like that was not something they knew how to deal with. If you had an issue, you didn't tell people about it, you hid it. And so that's what I did for years. Obviously, my husband knew about it. We've been married almost 32 years now, but it wasn't something that I would just go out and say, "Oh, this is what happened to me." And I think that lasted so long, those feelings that I was just never good enough. And I had a transformational moment, which it sounds ridiculous, but it was truly transformational where I had a family friend ask me if I wanted to do something out of my comfort zone. And before I could overthink it, I said yes. And what I said yes to was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
And I'm not a climber. I live in Florida. I have 15 steps in my house, but it was truly transformational for me because it really allowed me to realize what I was capable of and that if I want to do something, that I can do anything that comes in front of me. I'm not going to go be an astronaut tomorrow. I don't want to do that. But I think we limit ourselves all the time thinking, oh, and we use the words that limit us even more. Oh, I can never do that. My question is always, would you want to? No, I wouldn't want to do that. Okay, use those words then because every time you say that you can't do something or you're not capable of something, you're just perpetuating the cycle.
It's incredible how it reinforces those automatic negative thought patterns. In looking back, why did you say yes?
I think I was so used to saying yes, so used to saying I didn't want to disappoint anybody. I didn't want to show that I was weak. I was so used to just doing what people wanted me to do. What we started talking about at the beginning about prioritizing yourself, I didn't do that. But this time it really felt different. Like if this yes felt it was going to be something completely different and it was. It changed everything for me and so many people asked me, oh my gosh, you're leaving your family behind. You're leaving 6 kids behind to go climb a
Uh-huh.
mountain. Don't you think that's selfish? I'm like,
Ha.
no, self-care is never selfish. And honestly, I really think my girls are so much stronger for it and my boys are so much more respectful for it. So, really a combo deal there.
Did you feel as though self-care was a priority before that?
Absolutely not. I was taking care of everybody else. Why did I need to take care of myself? They needed me. I didn't need to do anything.
That's a
It's a
huge
hu-
shift.
it's a huge shift.
Was it a you've had enough, like, almost subconsciously? "This is it. This is my opportunity. I've had enough." Or was it, like, consciously, you're like, "Screw it. This is my time, and I just need to do this now."
I think it was really subconsciously. I don't
Mhm.
think I again, I think I had stuffed things down for so long, and let me tell you, My husband is the most supportive husband. If I say, "Hey, I wanna do this," he's like, "Great, go do it." It's never been like, "Oh, you have to ask for permission." That's never
Mhm.
how our relationship has been. But I just put these things on myself. That's how I saw my mom live. That's how I saw the women around me live. And I just thought, okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You've got to have the perfect home. You've got to do all the kids have to be in all the activities, right? You got to cook perfect meals. And okay, first
Mhm.
of all, I'm not the best cook in the world. I will admit it. So it was just like, why am I trying so hard for things that I don't even want? Yes, I want to feed my family. That has nothing to do with it. But
Mhm.
like we put these ridiculous expectations on ourselves and we don't sometimes even know why we're doing things.
One of the biggest empowering things is realizing when that opportunity comes up and then saying yes. And it's really hard. And I get that question all the time. How do I know? How do I know when? If somebody came to you and you told them your story
Mm.
and they said, I'm at that point where I just feel terrible about things and I know this isn't the life that I want to lead and I know I need to be more forceful. I know I need to put myself first. When am I going to know when that moment for me will come? What do you tell them?
Yeah, I would say for me that it was really subconsciously I had enough. And I think that as I look back, I realized that I really had enough of just
Mhm.
living small and not doing the things, not ever asking myself what I wanted. I think that obviously for each woman, it's something different in terms of timing. And I would say the sooner the better. Like, as soon as you start treating yourself with respect, using your voice, doing the things that you really want to do, it's going to transform your life. Again, I'm very fortunate that I always had someone that was very supportive of whatever my moment was, but
Mhm.
not all women have that. And I think that's one of the hardest things because they're making that decision of which direction do I go?
And then when they do make that decision and they have that idea in their head that they want to do something before doing it, then they realize that, oh man, maybe the world that I have built around me, the world that I live in currently, that foundation is not going to support that fully. And so you have to take a step out and start building a new foundation, which means you've got your support group and the people that are around you, your current tribe that is used to you being how you are now and you making decisions based upon your situation now versus you putting yourself at a higher priority, you being more assertive. When you start to do that, you may lose some people. You may rustle some feathers like the people that you were talking to. Oh, you've got six giving you the guilt trip
Mhm.
because you finally made a decision to prioritize yourself and to do something you felt you needed to do at the benefit, mind you, of not just you, but your whole family ultimately. So when you see somebody at that point where they're like, if I do, then my parents will be mad. And do you ever counsel or coach them on how to get through that and how to understand that's going to happen regardless?
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to happen. And if the people that are surrounding you are not supporting you, you have to ask yourself, are those the people that you want surrounding you? Because you want people who want you to rise, not that want to keep you small. And I know it's a really hard thing to make any kind of change, any kind of transformation. But in the long run, the pride that you're gonna feel, that you're gonna have such a different range of emotions. And yeah, temporarily things might suck for a bit, right? Your best friend might be like, and it's not about you, it's typically about them. So when people
Yeah.
don't like what you're doing, it's because they want to do it, make a change like that, and they can't see themselves doing it. So they put the pressure on you to not do it because they want you to feel bad too and stay stuck where you are. So that's
I
one of my biggest things is talking about who are you surrounding yourself with?
100%. I always use the crab theory, and the crab story is that if you get crab fishermen out there on the East Coast, they go out to catch crabs, and if they catch one and they put it in the barrel or anything, they have to put a mesh over the top or it'll crawl out and go back into the sea. But if you catch more than one crab, they're all down there in that you don't need to put a mesh on top because anytime one crab starts to crawl out, all the other crabs will pull it back in.
Yeah. And
And
it's sad, but it's a lot of times it's true and that because people can't see themselves rising above from where they are, that they decide, let me just say things to you. Same thing like with bullying in school, right? They
yep.
the bullies are it's not I always would tell my kids, it's not about you, it's about the bully. They're struggling
Mhm.
with something they don't know. What they're looking at with you is that they want to do something different for them and they don't know how to.
Mm.
And that's always really served my kids really well. And I think the same is true for women is that we have to ask yourself what you want. And one of the hardest questions, so I have this whole thing that I call the real method, which is respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, live without limits. And I would say the ask yourself what you want is one of the hardest parts because we've been conditioned to not do that. We've been conditioned to prioritize everyone else. So, really sitting there and thinking about what do I want? I don't know. I don't even know where to start. There's systems for that. But really, I think that for a lot of women, that's their biggest struggle is they've never had to think about that before because so many times they have been doing everything for everyone else.
And it's a very deceitful life because the bubble not only is small and it surrounds you, but it's you can't see out of it. You consistently reinforce your behavior and validate your behavior by the people that are around you and say, this is apparently what's going to work and this is what works for my family. And so I have to do this, which is such a sad thing. And it's so hard to break out of. It's just, and a lot of women that come to me, I'm like, you got to give yourself a break and give yourself a little, just some space and just a little self-love because it's a very hard thing to break out of. But then we go into intuition. How important is intuition and how does that correlate with confidence?
I think intuition is really important, but I think that a lot of times, again, we push that to the side too. We know sometimes, we know most of the time what we're getting ourselves into, but we keep doing it anyways.
Mm.
And when we don't follow our intuition, I truly believe confidence is a skill and we need to build it. Intuition is what's telling us that we need to build it. And when we're not following that, then we're really struggling to even take the first step. For me, I think that a big part of even to get to the intuition step is self-respect. We're taught to respect our elders, our colleagues, our peers. How many of us were ever taught to respect ourselves? Many people, the answer is never. Nobody ever had that conversation with me. And I think that's the first thing that we have to understand is that by prioritizing ourselves, by using our voice, by standing up taller, that we are respecting ourselves. And if yes, you can have your intuition about, "Oh, yes, I shouldn't get into this relationship," or "I think I should be doing this instead." But if you don't believe in yourself, it's really hard to take that first step.
100% because I always looked at intuition as almost like the women's tapping into the collective unconscious. It's almost the universal energy and the spirit layer that women have a much more your radar is much stronger on that. Your collector is much stronger on that than men. And that's just a fact. That funnels into confidence, and confidence as a true confidence as a learned skill is just the acceptance of who you are, warts and all, and being totally fine with that and being clear on that is who you are. And a lot of times women don't know who they are because they've been talked out of who they are. They've been talked out of who they should be versus who they are. And that's where that comes into having that self-esteem and also along with building the confidence. Can we talk about your book for a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the book is called.
The Extraordinary Unordinary You, that's book number 1,
Mhm.
and book number 2 is it's with the publisher, so we'll see what's gonna happen. That one's
Oh,
called
great.
Unshakable Confidence. But yeah, my first book I wrote without knowing what I was going to be writing about. So I went to school
Hmm,
for accounting. I have a master's in accounting and I'm a CPA.
hmm.
I love storytelling. And so that's really what this book was about. We adopted our youngest 3 children. It's a lot about their stories, about climbing Kilimanjaro. It's a self-help book without telling you exactly what to do, which again, the title of the book is, The Extraordinary Unordinary You, follow your own path, discover your own journey. And I think a lot of times that we don't give ourselves credit for what we're doing. And this book is all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. I think we look at the world and think that if we're not moving mountains, then we're not making a difference. But that's so far from the truth. It's the little things we do every day that truly change the world. And that was the goal with this book is to help, especially women, look at themselves and think, wait, oh, that thing I did yesterday, I helped the neighbors with something. You know what? I changed their world right there. And We just never look at it like that. And we need to.
And that is so 100% true. It's the little stuff that adds up. If a woman were to come up to you at a book signing and say, "What's the one thing that I should get out of this book?" What would it be?
Oh, it's really about believing in yourself, realizing what you're capable of, understanding that what you do every day matters, and doesn't matter what anybody else says to you, but what you do really does change the world.
And does book 2, The Unshakable Confidence, expound on that? Or does it go into a little bit of a different direction or niche?
A little bit of a different direction, really more focused on my real method and other people's stories in terms of building confidence, building self-respect, and really giving more of a detailed how to, because one of the things that I was told is that, "Yes, we love your book. Tell me exactly how to do it. Tell me exactly how you did it." And I was like, "That was the whole point of follow your own path,
Right.
right?"
Yeah,
But
exactly.
okay, so this one is gonna be a little bit more detailed in terms of frameworks and exercises, and
Okay,
but
good.
still really great stories to and again, to help women understand that confidence is a skill that you can build at any time. It's
Mhm,
not, "Oh, you're born with it, you lost it, it's gone forever." That's
mhm,
so not
mhm.
true.
Yeah, I always look at it at true confidence as something that is innate, but it's like a muscle.
Mm.
And if you don't work it out and if you don't feed it or like a garden, then it's not going to be there for you and it won't thrive. I love this. Simone Knego, thank you so much. And where can first of all, when's the second book coming out?
It's actually not coming out until next February. I decided to take a longer path to get it done. But yeah, you can find me on my website, SimoneKnego.com, Knego. And basically, as of now, I am still the only Simone Knego in the world. So if you search me, you will find me on all the platforms.
And it's easy to spell. Mine's like you throw about 12 consonants in there. And it's TonyDufresne.com, but nobody can spell that. So I also have theconfidencedoc.com. And my book is still out there, surrounded by idiots, even more poignant now than it was when I wrote it back in 2018. And you can find that on Amazon. And if you have any comments or questions for me, obviously go to Tony at theconfidencedoc.com. Simone, thanks again. I appreciate it. And we'll see you later.